You don't need to go to Niagara Falls when you can eat some fried balls.
What is going on, NASCAR diecast collectors and diecast reviewers on YouTube? This is Original Big Bri here, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys with another new episode of the NASCAR Diecast News, hosted by me, Original Big Bri. As always, guys, I'm bringing you guys your weekly NASCAR Diecast News throughout each and every month to the very end of the 2016 NASCAR Diecast season. And boy, oh boy, folks, I mean, I usually don't over-exaggerate on NASCAR Diecast News, but this is definitely going to be a very interesting episode for the 155th episode of the NASCAR Diecast News. And probably the big thing to talk about for this episode right here, Darlington Throwbacks. We got a crap load, and I mean a crap load of new Darlington Throwback cars, a total of 9 new Darlington Throwback cars that just got released, and they are now at stock at your local diecast dealers, or at Plan B Sales, KC Diecast, or Lester's Diecast. And I cannot wait to show you guys all those wonderful diecasts, especially the Darlington Throwbacks, including we also got some more new Darlington Throwback pre-orders as well, guys. I mean, let's just face it, guys, the Darlington Throwback vibe is really coming in, guys. I mean, we're getting lots of news for Darlington Throwback cars, so if you're really been waiting for Darlington Throwbacks, guys, this is the episode that you should definitely, and I would highly recommend tuning into very shortly. Plus, we also got one new cancellation for today as well, and we also got a new promo for any K&N Series fans out there. We have a new K&N Series promo that is now starting to hit the shelves very soon. But you know what, guys? I would love to talk all about this in the intro, but we're going to get on to the show real quick. But before we do that, guys, let's kick things off with your best-selling diecast from the last episode of NASCAR Diecast News, with rounding off with NASCAR Diecast News 154. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, on the wonderful world of YouTube, NASCAR Diecast Collectors, welcome to the NASCAR Diecast News. As I already said, this is me, Original Big Bri, and we're going to get things started with your newly released diecast, of course, from our good friends at Plan B Sales. Definitely recommend checking them out. They are the main supplier of warehouse for any line on racing diecast. Even Steve Post recommends them. That's just how big they are. So they are kind of like the king of the NASCAR diecast warehouses. But like I said, guys, Darlington Throwbacks. It's going to be a really, really hefty episode on throwback schemes, and we're going to go ahead and kick things off right here with all your latest new 164s. And the first one up is, what do you know, a Darlington Throwback car, guys. We got Austin Dillon's Darlington Throwback car. for this year, and definitely has a different vibe from this year. I mean, we do got a number 3 throwback car for this year again. I mean, with last year's Austin Dillon, showcased the Richard Childress CRC card that we're all familiar, that Spin Master made in the classic form, and then Lionel actually made that car from this year, but decided to change things up a little bit this year and go with a different vibe of the 3 car, and they are representing RCR, and Austin Dillon are representing Ricky Rudd's 1983 car. And what's significant about this car is that this was the first win for Ricky Rudd for the start of his NASCAR career, and first of many wins for RCR, so a very significant win. And also, I guess you could tie in the Ryan Newman car with this as well. I mean, it's mostly, this scheme and the number is mostly dedicated to Austin Dillon's, but Ryan Newman's a Caterpillar car, that's another car that's in stock. I hate that I'm skipping numbers, but this is also another car that is showcasing that tribute as well. I mean, it's not exact as the original car is, but I'm still kind of cool that Caterpillar is also doing a throwback as well, unlike last year's, which was just a throwback of its sponsors. So good to see both Austin Dillon's car and Ryan Newman are going to be showcasing the good old Ricky Rudd with the 1983 car that he drove right there. And like I say, it's a beautiful looking car. I probably would recommend the Austin Dillon car over the Ryan Newman car, but I mean, just for pure accuracy, especially if you guys are a Ricky Rudd fan, probably would recommend getting the number 3 car, because this car will definitely look nice and it'll bring back some memories for sure. So I probably recommend picking up both probably as well, because they both go well, very nice together, especially since they're RCR cars. Next car up is a nice bright orange car, and no, it's not Carl Edwards or Dan Suarez, it's none other than Kevin Harvick's bright orange car, his Busch Beer hunting car, guys. And so, like we said, like I said about the hunting car, it's kind of cool that, Busch is doing all these different unique schemes. I kind of like this hunting car a little bit more, because when you think about hunting, you're thinking about bright orange and all that stuff. I know I haven't hunted before, but I'm assuming that's what you wear, like bright orange stuff, so you don't get mentally shot at. So, already enough of the cruel details. But anyways, this car does look really nice, and it has lots of nice detail to it. I mean, the paint scheme looks really nice. I think it looks just as good with the hunting car, with the fishing car. And like I said, I mean, with the Austin Dillon and Ryan Newman car, I think this car would look really nice with the fishing car, because it goes well with that theme. So really cool right there. I kind of forgot where he drove this car at, but hopefully we can see this car at the track again very soon, if I can't remember. Feel free to post in the comments if you guys know what car that Kevin Harvick drove this hunting car at, because I'm curious to know, and I'm sure it looked really good in person if you guys catched it. Next up, we got some Trevor Bayne diecasts in stock. I know Ray Hall Fanatic 15 is going to enjoy that. Shout out to him right there. Go check him out. He's a pretty cool dude. And for any other Trevor Bayne fans out there, we got some Trevor Bayne diecasts in stock now at Plain B Sales. His regular Advocare car for this year is finally in stock, so that's the second Roush car that is out for this year. So that's gonna go with the Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Fastenal car. So if you're a big Roush fan or a big fan of those Fords, then this might be a car to get right here. A little more of a different scheme unlike last year's, a little on the simple side, but still looks pretty nice, and pretty glad that they actually got this car produced and not canceled. And speaking of canceled, Trevor Bayne starts a throwback car for this year has not been canceled. It has got made, unlike last year's. Last year's car, which I really loved, got canceled, and it was a Mark Martin tribute. Well, this car actually got made this year, and it's a Mark Martin tribute as well. So Trevor Bayne is sticking with that Classic 6 car, and when you ever guys think of number 6 in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, you're probably thinking of Mark Martin. So another cool throwback we're getting for this year. This is representing Mark Martin's 1997 Valvoline Ford that he drove in, of course, like I said, in the 1997 series. And he had a pretty good season right there. He got about 4 wins and 24 top 10s in that 97 season. If you want any more facts, feel free to Google that. I mean, heck, this is just pretty basic info just to show you just how iconic this car was. I mean, if you notice, the 6 is kind of italicized, so that's pretty cool right there. But this is another scheme that a lot of people are pretty happy to see. I mean, I do prefer last year's, but it's nice to see that this car actually got produced, unlike last year's car, which was canceled. So probably a car I would highly recommend getting, especially if you're a big Mark Martin fan. This would be a car to get right here for sure. Speaking of more tributes, we got a Regan Smith diecast, and it's a Sprint Cup Series car, which is just amazing, guys. Just awesome. This is the first Tommy Baldwin car that we're getting for this year. I don't believe we got any from last year, from what I know, because they did offer the Darlington Throwback car from last year that was driven by Michael Nett, but that was canceled, unfortunately. But similar to Turnberg car, this car is actually made, and now it is available to buy at Plan B sales and in your local diecast dealers that supplies these. So really cool right here. I'm loving that Regan Smith. You know, of course, this would fill up your field right here because this is the only Regan Smith Sprint Cup car that we're getting produced. They haven't produced his regular Sprint Cup Series car for this year, his Nyko and Golden Corral car, which is like a mixed scheme. But this car is really nice too because it is in honor of Alan Quickie. He is a very talented NASCAR driver that was gone too soon, and really cool to see that that Regan Smith is going to represent the number 7 because, like I said, guys, there's always iconic numbers in NASCAR. You know, we got 6 with Mark Martin, and then when you think of number 7, you're probably thinking of Alan Quickie because he was a very talented driver in that number 7 Hooters car, and really cool to see that the 7 car is representing that. I mean, I wish the font of the 7 looked a little bit better, but it still looks pretty nice regardless. I mean, I would love to see the Hooters sponsorship on this car, but it's a very underdeveloped team of Tommy Baldwin Racing, so gotta give them the props that they actually got a diecast produced for this year and wasn't canceled. So that's really cool right there. So if you're a big Alan Quickie fan or a Regan Smith fan, then this is definitely a car you should absolutely get. I mean, this is going to be a car I think that could be a favorite in, it could be a favorite in the Southern 500 for this year because Regan Smith is a past winner at Darlington, so who knows, guys. I mean, it would be cool to see Regan Smith go into victory lane and show off the underdog team of the Tommy Baldwin Racing Chevrolet. So he did it with Vern Terrell. Maybe he'll do it with Tommy Baldwin. You just never know, guys, and maybe he'll get himself in the chase. Who knows? That's a long shot, but look at Chris Buescher. So we got another Darlington, well, somewhat of a Darlington throwback car. It's Danica Patrick's Darlington throwback car. Now, I get the point of Darlington throwbacks. Don't get me wrong, but this car isn't really much of a throwback. It's more of a promotion. So Nature's Bakery, if you guys don't know who they are, Nature's Bakery is like a snack company. And what they decided to promote on their quote-unquote Darlington throwback scheme was brownies. Not about you, but I don't know if brownies are pretty throwback, especially in NASCAR. So I don't know why this car is a Darlington throwback. It's kind of a, I mean, in Stuart Haas's schemes, I mean, I think with this car and the Kurt Busch car, but this one has to be the most weirdest, and just what were they thinking when they were thinking of a throwback? I mean, man, I mean, it even makes last year's look better because last year's was the Lady in Black car, so that kind of had a meaning, but this is just completely random, the Darlington. So I don't know if I should. I'm going to put, like, if Race Day 2011 is going to read this car, he should put quotation marks Darlington throwback because it's in the title, because it's not really a throwback. I mean, I'm not really getting much of a vibe. So I mean, if you still want to get this car because you're a Danica Patrick fan, sure thing. It's a different looking scheme. I can't say I like it or hate it. It's different, but like I said, if it's going to be a throwback, it's got to be retro. And from what I know, Nature's Bakery is a fairly new company, so sense some irony there, guys? I don't know. Very ironic right here, but we'll probably move on to that right now because that is just really throwing us off right there for the throwbacks. Stay tuned, guys. We do got more Darlington throwbacks to show you guys. This one right here is another really cool one that a lot of people are really excited about. As you guys know, Danny Hamlin has had a really incredible season this year, especially with the start of the season, winning his first ever Daytona 500. Especially, this is Joe Gibbs's first Daytona 500 win, so really cool to see that happening. Especially, how Toyota and Gibbs have been doing this year. They've been just flat out dominating last year and especially this year. But this is really cool right here. It's got all the race marks and the confetti from the incredible Daytona 500 finish we had. And, you know, I kind of just wish Mark Truex Jr. would have won that race. I'm a little biased on Truex, but man, that would have been cool seeing the Truex Jr. race win 164. But regardless of not, I mean, if you're a Denny Hamlin fan, this is definitely a car to get right here because, as you guys know, most of Denny Hamlin's race wins has mostly been canceled. But for sure that this car is definitely... They got made not only 124 but 164, and now they have a 164 Daytona 500 race win. I hope they keep this up every year, guys. I mean, last year they made the Logano car, now this year they make a Denny Hamlin car. So if things go the right way, guys, we could have a Daytona 500 race win car in both scales as the years go on. So props to Lionel, you know, for making this diecast. I mean, I didn't think they were going to do that, but really, really awesome that they decided to make this car. And this might be a car I would highly recommend picking up. I'll probably pick it up as well and review it to you guys very shortly because I love race win 164s, and I know you guys do too as well. So really, really cool right there. Next up, we got Ryan Reed's Lilly Diabetes car. Similar car to last year, so can't really say too much about it, but I guess if you want, you know, a more updated car, and by updated I mean lesser contingencies on the car. I mean, as Race 2011 points out. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This car is similar as last year's. I'm surprised this car actually got made, but for any Ryan Reed fans out there, I'm sure they're pretty happy to see this car being produced, so that's pretty cool right there. The next few cars we got are lots and lots of Darlington Throwbacks cars, so... So if you guys were pretty traumatized with the Danica Patrick car, then this will probably save you right here. So speaking of Danica Patrick, we got her boyfriend, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., with a actual Darlington Throwback scheme. And he's representing the Fastenal colors for this year instead of the Cargill car from last year. Instead, this year, he's representing good old Darrell Waltrip's 1975 car. And what's significant about this car, that this was DW's first win ever, guys. And I'm sure lots of people from the mid-70s definitely recognize this car for sure, as DW was a, you know, he was very recognizable in number 17, of course, you know, winning the Daytona 500 in the 17 Tide car. That was really cool right there. So DW is a very iconic legend to this sport, and he's an upcoming Hall of Famer in NASCAR. So I think he got inducted for the next year. So really, really cool right here that we're seeing DW being represented in NASCAR for another time. So awesome right there. That this is a nice looking throwback right here. I also like how the 17 has showed up on this car. It looks really, really nice. Got that nice throwback vibe to it, and looks pretty nice. I mean, it's a different look for the Fastenal car, but really, really nice. And we'll see how this car performs at the Southern 500. The next one I'm going to show you guys. I mean, I'm not usually a big fan of this guy, Kyle Busch, by any means necessary, but my, oh my, this has to be one of the coolest looking Darlington Throwback cars I've seen. If not, this has to be one of my top 10 favorites right here, for sure. I should, you know, rank, after all these Darlington Throwbacks cars release, I should, like, you know, rank what are my favorite throwbacks, because there's a lot of good throwbacks for this year, and a good majority of the field are ranking throwbacks. But anyways, we got Kyle Busch's Darlington Throwback cars in stock now. If you guys, you know, grew up in the 90s, you will easily recognize what this car is. Whether you were a Dale Jarrett fan, a Bobby Labonte fan, or who knows if you're a JJ Yeley fan, you will definitely recognize what this car looks like. But this car is supposed to represent the 1992 car, which was driven by Dale Jarrett. And what's significant about that car is that was actually the first ever Joe Gibbs racing car that was ever made, and it got them onto, you know, different good routes. I mean, heck, man, this is one of the iconic cars in NASCAR right here, the 18 Interstate Batteries car. I mean, I'm pretty impressed that they decided to give this car a Darlington Throwback ride. I've been waiting so long to see this car as soon as they introduced the Darlington Throwbacks last year, and it was only a matter of time until they released this. So just amazing right here. That I can't say anymore, guys. This is a car you're gonna have to get. Whether or not you like Kyle Busch, you gotta respect the history of what this car has. You know, with so many great drivers on this car. And, you know, especially Bobby Labonte, I think he was the most successful in this car, but I guess Kyle Busch can probably show that off right here if he ends up winning the Southern 500, which not too many people will be happy about, but it would be cool to see a throwback car actually win for this year. And speaking of that, guys, we're going to be talking about your defending Southern 500 winner, Carl Edwards. As you guys know, it was a cool race that we had last year, but he did end up winning in a non-Darlington Throwback car. Well, that all changed this year, especially with the success he's been having with Eris. So Eris and him stepped on board, and my favorite driver in NASCAR, let's just say he is going to be representing the good old man who's retiring at the end this year, Tony Stewart. He's going to be representing the good old Home Depot colors in Tony Stewart's rookie car from 1999. This is another car that I think you guys should absolutely get right here, especially if you're a Tony Stewart fan. If you're a Tony Stewart fan, or if you're a guy, like I said, that grew up while watching racing in the 90s or the early 2000s, which I'm sure a majority of you guys are, you can't question to get this car whether or not. Sure, it's on Toyota, which I'm sure a lot of people would love to see this car in a Chevrolet, but I think it's really, really cool that we're seeing, a sponsor like Eris represent a paint scheme that's so similar to Home Depot. And I think that works out well because they both use orange. Home Depot, which is no longer a sponsor in NASCAR, so they decided to go with Eris, which they use kind of the same color combinations. So that's really, really awesome that they decided to step their game up this year and give a awesome looking Darlington Throwback car. Hell, I wouldn't even mind if this car actually sweeps another Darlington race, so that'd be cool right there, and hopefully it won't get canceled. So fingers crossed, we'll probably see that 19 car Victory Lane again, but I'm sure not too many people will like that again, but would be cool, especially since this is representing a tribute to Tony Stewart, which is awesome right there. Next car we got going up is Paul Menard's Throwback car. Now I did briefly touch about this car a little bit. There was a promo version of this car which is on the PTC mold, but I told you guys to kind of avoid that car because it's on the PTC mold, and there was a lot of screw-ups in this car. If you guys haven't saw already, check out Race Day 2011's video on this car with the PTC mold, and you'll see why I highly encourage you guys to get this car now, which is on the EL mold. But to go on the history of this car, this is representing a good old kart and IndyCar driver that I'm sure, David Land and Robbie Noonan know very well growing up in the kart years, especially David Land. We got good old Al Unser Jr. in his only Cup start, which is at the 1993 Daytona 500. And, man, if you're a big fan of IndyCar and IndyCar history, you should probably get this car. I know Race Day 2011 David Land are probably going to automatically get this car as soon as it says in stock on eBay or wherever, because it has so, Al Unser is a really, very unique driver in USAC and, IndyCar and all that history with IndyCar. But to show that, he actually tried out for the Daytona 500, that just shows, a lot of talent that, the Unsers had. And really cool to see that Paul Menard especially, Menard, how about that? Paul Menard and John Menard and all the guys at Menard's decided to put this scheme together. And they also had the Valvoline sponsorship as well, which is, Al Jr.'s signature sponsor in the IndyCar Series kart and, all that. So just awesome right here. And what else can I say? This car looks pretty nice, and this might be another favorite of mine for this year, especially since I'm a big IndyCar fan, so seeing the history of that car is even giving me much goosebumps as well. Man, the final car to talk about, guys, it's not a Darlington Throwback car, it's just Chase Elliott's Armor Foods car. It's an Xfinity car, so can't really say too much about it. The Armor cars, the Armor canned foods cars have always been the same than last year's. There's just a little difference on the contingencies for this year, but not too much. But if you're a Chase Elliott fan, probably this will be a car to get right here. And that wraps up on the 164s, and then we're gonna get on to the 124s really quickly, guys. I did talk about the Jimmy Johnson Fontana Race Wind car, the 164 version, and they released a 124 version for this year. However, there's a little feature that comes with this car. As you guys know, Jimmy Johnson is now nicknamed Superman, especially since he won with the Superman scheme at Fontana earlier this year. So Lionel decided to be a little creative this year and decided to give, let's just say, they gave the car a cape. So you get your own individual Superman cape. Now, I'm sure maybe this car will either probably fit, the slightest Superman doll, or maybe, if you're lucky, this will probably fit on the the Jimmy Johnson Race Wind car, which, in my opinion, it looks pretty tacky, but for the sponsorship wise, it looks pretty cool. But I don't know, I never thought in a million years I would see, Lionel, especially a company like Lionel, selling a freaking cape with a diecast. I mean, it's kind of laughable, but God, it just shows you, like, what's next to come for Lionel. What's next? But if you're a Johnson fan, then this would probably be cool right here. It's a nice little feature. I mean, kind of like what they did in 2014 with the broomstick they had for Dale Jr.'s Pocono sweep. So, kind of cool that Lionel offers these little features to give the diecast a little more pizzazz and all that. So, alrighty, everybody, now we're getting on to the pre-orders, guys. Pre-orders. You got to make sure you pre-order those cars before we ship them out to our warehouse, or otherwise they'll be canceled. Like C-Post likes to say. Well, I'm sure he doesn't say that, but you know what I mean. But we're going to be briefly touching on some pre-orders, guys, and the first one that's going to caught up to my eye is Greg Biffle's number 16 Hooters car. Now, I bet you guys are wondering, wait a minute, this car looks familiar. Didn't Regan Smith, did you guys already told us that? Did I already told you guys on a couple minutes ago that we were talking about the Regan Smith car, that there was an Alan Quickie tribute? Well, let's just say Roushman Racing has more of an accurate version. I mean, I kind of wished... I mean, I don't know how I feel about this, okay? I mean, it's one to have, you know, one Darlington Throwback car, but having the same thing, but just with different... I don't know. I feel like that this is what the scheme should have been. I mean, it's kind of similar, but it looks more accurate with the Hooters logo. I'm really surprised seeing Roushman Racing actually has the Hooters logo, so... I mean, I would have preferred seeing that on the 7 car, but... kind of random seeing this on Greg Biffle's number 16 car, man. But I mean, I can see why, because Alan Quickie did drive a Ford for sometimes. But other than that, just I don't know, guys. I mean, if Greg Biffle's driving the 7 car, then this would be spot on perfect. But just the number 16 really throw me off. And also, guys, this is also a 124 exclusive as well, guys, because of Hooters. I mean, I heard that Hooters wants this car 124 exclusive only, and they want it on a base as well. So similar to the Kellogg's, Cheez-It, and Monster cars, this car will be placed on a base. And my only assumption of that is probably because Hooters sells alcohol, and probably they do not want, you know, kids, you know, learning about their sponsor, because, well, I've been to Hooters once, and from what I know, there is alcohol, and there are, you know, some pretty nice waitresses, if you're kind of getting my memo right there. But yeah, that's about that right there. So I can see why this car is on a base, because this car is probably more appropriated to adult collectibles, which does stink, but you know, not really too much of a big loss, because this is kind of a, I wouldn't say a weird Darlington Throwback car, but just kind of like they're playing copycats with the number 7 car from this year. So, I don't know, but kind of neat right there. And we also got an updated render of Jeffrey Earnhardt's Darlington Throwback car. Yes, more Darlington Throwback stuff. I know, guys. Can you guys take it? I hope so, because we'll be talking about this more in the next few episodes. More Jeffrey the Jeffrey Earnhardt car from this year. It has some updated logos to it, guys, and I mean, it does look kind of tacky in my opinion, but I think this car is still supposed to represent, you know, Dale Earnhardt's good old Wrangler car, but since it's got these colorful logos on it now, I mean, I don't really know about this. I mean, I feel like this car could get canceled now because of those logos. I mean, I don't know why. I mean, Keen Parts was originally on this car, but now they got these new logos on it, which, I mean, I wouldn't say it ruins the paint scheme, but it's just, I kind of wish the logos were blue, kind of like they were, to match with the Wrangler scheme. I mean, it kind of looks like, to be honest, those logos that are updated now on that car were kind of photoshopped. So I have a slight feeling that this car could be canceled now, since the release date might be pushed back now, since this car was originally come out in fall time, but it might not be out until, like, you know, probably January now, if it doesn't get canceled. So I don't know how I feel about that, guys. That does feel a little odd right there, but tell me what you guys think of that change, if that was actually needed, or do you think they should have went back with their original plan and make it look like the Wrangler car from this year? Whether or not, still looks like a pretty cool diecast. I mean, the Wrangler car is another favorite car to see right there, especially since it's another Earnhardt that's driving, so that's even cool right there. And now we're going on to the cancellations, guys, and we only have one cancellation for today, guys, for this episode, and it's a Denny Hamlin car. Ironically, another Denny Hamlin race version car. His Watkins Glen race win car has been canceled, but it's only canceled the 124 Elite scale version only, so the 124 ARC standard version is still available, and I believe it's only offered in the 124 scale. So if you're an Elite version collector, then this would be kind of a disappointment for you. But for anybody else, fingers are crossed, guys. Maybe this car will make it, but it's already been like 2 or 3 weeks now, so amazing to see that the elite version of this car already did not had enough pre-orders in time for the MOQs. So that's, you know, pretty interesting right there. And the final topic talked about, guys, and it's going to be another promotional diecast, guys. And let's just say this diecast I'm about to show you guys, it's a first for this year. It's a K&N Pro Series car. So if you guys do remember the Ben Rhodes car and the Gray Gauldine promo cars that we had from a good year or two ago, that I think the Ben Rhodes car was like released somewhere around, you know, 2014-ish. Same with the Gray Gauldine Krispy Kreme promo. If you guys do remember those were K&N cars, and those are kind of rare to come across nowadays with the K&Ns because there's not much licensing with those. But let's just say there is an exclusive promo that's out now that you can either get at the track for $7 or you could get $10 shipped. And I believe the people who found this car went to Evergreen Speedway at the track. But if you're at a K&N Pro Series race track, wherever, and if they're about to go there, then this car I'm about to show you right here, it's going to save you $3 right there. But I bet you're wondering what this car is. Well, it's the number 27 of Grayson Raz. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And it's Mountain Tech 164. So, I mean, you know, I haven't really heard about this guy yet, but as you guys know, I mean, I probably would recommend getting this car because, you know, it's a promotional diecast, and you know me, I love promotional diecasts. I mean, I love, you know, the rarity of these cars, and especially the K&N cars, because I think they're a lot more rare than what the NASCAR promos are, because, like I said, there's not too many of these, and these look pretty nice, you know, heck, especially I think this car is actually, it's a Ford car, but I think the K&N switched to the Gen 6 car for this year, so this will be our first K&N Pro Series car in the Gen 6 models, and hopefully we'll get more of these soon right here. I mean, it looks like to be on the Gen 6 model, from what I know, because I know they did switch to that new mold for this year, so that's really cool right there. I mean, you could kind of now put that in if you want. You could probably now put that into your stop motions if you want to, just to play around with it. but yeah, I'll probably provide the link in the description if you guys do want to get this car. It's $10 online, but $7 at the track, like I said, and could be a cool car to get right here because there's not too many of these. I think the team is actually it's at GraysonRaz.com, and I'll put a link, like I said, in the description. Has you know, individually supply this, so you have to email them individually, and they'll send it out to you individually, from what I know. But really cool, you know. I mean, it also shows to support, you know, your local not local drivers, but you know, the small drivers out there, especially Grayson Raz, because who knows? I mean, with the Ben Rhodes and Gray Gauldine, those guys are kind of big upcoming stars now in NASCAR, especially in the Xfinity series. And who knows? Maybe we'll hear more about Grayson Raz, even though I haven't really heard that name in a while. But really cool, you know, to pick up these K&N Pro Series cars, and you know, who knows? Maybe we'll see this guy, you know, in the NASCAR, in the top 3 NASCAR circuits very soon, if he sells diecast pretty well. But other than that, guys, this has been a new episode of the NASCAR Diecast News. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, please give this video a good comment, like it if you guys have not already. I highly encourage you guys to check out my channel, Original Big Bry. I do weekly NASCAR Diecast news every Sunday for you guys. I'll probably have a new NASCAR Diecast review very soon. Probably upload on Monday, Tuesday, if you guys do want to check that out. Follow my social media for any updates more to come. You know, check out, you know, social media as well for NASCAR Diecast news. We have an Instagram and a Facebook. It's always good to give those a follow, because whether we're not active on YouTube, we'll be active on there for the weekdays. But yep, guys, we'll see you guys for another episode of NASCAR Diecast News. And this is Original Big Bry signing off, and so long for now, everybody.